Welcome everyone to the online 1 month course on UGC NET Paper 1. My name is Dr. Dhara Sheth and I have been a competitive exams mentor for English soft skills since over a decade. Um, in this session, we are going to cover all the 10 subtopics of Paper 1. Considering all the important topics because we have less time and it's like usually the 6 month course, 12 months course has been condensed to 1 month. So we'll be covering the main topics here, but we'll be sharing PDFs which would help you prepare comprehensively in your own free time along with this course for paper 1. Okay. Along with me, Dr. Shriya Tripathi and Professor August Muni Mishra will also be sharing a few topics. The schedule is like this. The first 3 days, we will be learning teaching aptitude, followed by 4 days when we'll be discussing people development and environment, higher education. This would be followed by research aptitude, mathematical reasoning for three days each. In the last 2 weeks, we'll be covering data interpretation, communication, comprehension, logical reasoning, and ICT, that is computer. The format of the session would be daily 2-hour live sessions from 6 to 8 p.m. I know a lot of you have also enrolled in our paper 2 sessions, which begin from 8:15 p.m. So we'll try to cover as much as we can, not as much as we can, complete the session part before that. And in case you have more questions and you are not a part of that program, you can stay here. Otherwise, you can join the next session for paper 2 after this. We'll be discussing few previous year questions also along with discussion of the topics. E-certificate of participation would be provided. You can interact with the resource persons during the session, and the session recording would also be provided with a limited time access. Okay. So these 3 days, we'll be covering the important topics of teaching aptitude. We'll begin with learning theories and models, learning approaches, that is pedagogy, andragogy, heutagogy, levels of understanding, MLT, ULT, RLT, Bloom's taxonomy, and if time permits, we'll also be taking Gagne's and Briggs classification today. Tomorrow, I'm planning to cover methods of teaching, learning and learning environment, learner characteristics, child, adolescent, adult, and factors affecting teaching. The third day, we'll discuss online, that is MOOC, Swayam Prabha, the digital learning tools. We'll also be discussing teaching support system, evaluation system, and curriculum. This is what I plan to do in the next 3 days. Okay. If you have any question during the session, you can type it in the chat box, or you can wait when I finish a topic and I ask if everything was clear or if something needs to be repeated, or you want me to show you any slide again to take a screenshot. Please in the chat box. Okay. Just give me a moment. Sorry, it's day one, so we do have a lot of logistics issues cropping up, people not being able to find links and all. Okay. So far, yeah. If anyone has any doubts, you can ask right now. If you have any questions regarding the session format or something, or anything that you want to ask about time, otherwise we can commence the session. Okay. Sir, if you do you have any question?
Yes, madam. It is related to conduct of examination. May I ask right now?
Sir, please type your question in the chat box. I'll answer it.
Okay, madam.
Okay. So I guess I'm fully here now. Let's start. You will not be getting PDF of the PPT, but I'll be sharing notes which you can refer. Like once I finish all the theories, I have created tables for quick revision. So whenever those slides crop up, just take a screenshot of those slides. Okay. So for quick revision, that will help you. You will see as we go, like in next 5-10 minutes, you will be able to see that. Okay. If all 150 questions can be done in 3 hours or when you get them. So earlier what used to happen, okay, so see paper 1 is 1 hour and 50 questions, paper 2 is 2 hours and 100 questions. Earlier paper 1 and paper 2 were 2 different slots. Now it's a combined 3-hour slot where you have to do both paper 1 and paper 2 together. Like first paper 1 comes and paper 2 comes. It's a continuous 3-hour slot now. Okay. Okay. So let's begin. Learning theories and models. So this is the basic in terms of concepts for teaching aptitude. Not a lot of questions are asked from this, but then whatever we learn in this topic, this forms the basis of your understanding for everything else that happens in teaching aptitude. So that is why I felt that covering this topic was important. It's not that no questions are asked. Sometimes the questions are asked, but then the weightage is comparatively less as compared to few other topics like levels of understanding. It's one of the favorite topics of the examiners. So, okay, I'll just show you. So these theories explain how people acquire, retain, and apply knowledge. Understanding these theories helps educators design effective teaching strategies. Okay. So as a teacher, if you don't know how learning happens, then designing your curriculum, designing your lesson plans would not be easy for you, or it would, or the lessons that you design would not be effective. That is why these learning theories and models were researched and are useful to us when we are talking about teaching aptitude. The major schools are behaviorist, cognitive, constructivist, social, experiential, and connectivist. Now, what are these? Let's take a look one by one. So behaviorist school of thought talks about observable behavior, and it's about the stimulus or response. And an external stimulus is given, and there's a response from the person or the organism. That is the behaviorist school of thought. Like where the mind is a black box, the internal mental state is not considered. This considers only about the external factors. The key theorists are E.L. Thorndike, Ivan Pavlov, and B.F. Skinner. So Thorndike's 3 laws of learning are law of readiness, that learning is effective when the learner is ready to learn. Law of exercise, that is practicing. Practicing helps in learning and not practicing weakens the learning. And the law of effect. So whenever you are satisfied after whatever you do, then you are likely to repeat that behavior more. So when a student is repeatedly praised for completing homework, then that student would be doing it regularly. These are Thorndike's 3 laws of learning. Pavlov is another scientist who conducted the famous experiment, Skinner-Pavlov experiments, where the dog, where a bell was rung and the dog was given food. So with the time, the dog was conditioned that every time the bell rings, the food will be provided. So then what used to happen after some time, that when the bell rang, even if no food was placed in front of the dog, there would be a stimulus of saliva and they would start feeling hungry. So this is conditioning. So classical conditioning is learned through association, that the dog associated bell with food. Okay. So students feel anxious when the teachers enters with test papers, because they associate test papers with the pressure of exam. Okay. Due to past experiences. Skinner is operant conditioning. So he says that along with positive associations, like if you praise, like when we say we have to train dogs, we give them treats, or if they don't do what we want them, then we punish them. That is the same behaviorist school of thought, operant conditioning. It is called positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement. Adding pleasant stimulus or praise encourages the person to repeat that behavior, and removing unpleasant stimulus, that negative reinforcement is you remove whatever is hurting the person. So that also shows good behavior. And punishment is when you add or remove a stimulus to decrease a behavior rather than increasing it. So like giving extra playtime for good behavior reinforces it, and saying that now because today you did something where you were naughty, your 1 hour of TV time is reduced. So that's punishment. Okay. So this is the behaviorist school of thought, where the external factors impact behavior. Next is the cognitive school of thought. Cognitive word basically relates to brain, cognition. Wherever you see the word cognitive, it has got something to do with brain and thinking and reflecting and using your higher faculties of brain. Okay, everywhere you see the word cognitive, you will see a lot of it in these 3 days. It has got something to do with using a lot of your brain. The focus is on internal mental processes, thinking, perception, memory, problem solving. So key theorists are Jean Piaget and Jerome Bernard. So they say that learning is an internal process where you understand things, where you actively process information. So prior knowledge and mental models are essential. That when you know something in advance, and then you are given another some more information based on it, then you build upon the information one by one. So you know this is sun, this is cloud, this is rain, and then when you build on the information saying that when the water evaporates, clouds are formed, the sun shines, so the water evaporates, and then the clouds are formed, which ultimately results in rain. So when you have the earlier information, this is the sun, this is the cloud, this is the rain, then you build on it by saying that now in the next stage we learn water cycle. So importance of prior knowledge has been considered in cognitive school, that level by level you build on your understanding by actively processing information. So schemas, scaffolding, active learning, all these things are emphasized when it comes to cognitive school of thought. Piaget's cognitive development theory. Now, this is again very important, because there are MCQs which are asked sometimes, not directly but indirectly, saying that this is happening in what stage of development is this considered. So you need to remember that sensory motor is 0 to 2 years, pre-operational is 2 to 7 years, concrete operational is 7 to 11 years, and formal operational is 11 plus years. Okay, these are the 4 stages of cognitive development, where first your senses and motor development happens, then pre-operational, your before the higher faculties developed, your basics are being developed, then the concrete operational, you start learning about the world, 7 to 11 years, and then slowly the higher thinking processes are developed in a much bigger level after 11 years. So teaching strategies should match the learner's cognitive stage. At the age of 5 years, if you tell a child to reflect on something and then analyze something or create something new, then that would not be possible. This is an age where you rather do rote memorization and practice writing ABCD again and again, or practice writing spellings again and again, so that your basic information is built. That is cognitive school of thought. The next is the constructivist school of thought. Learners actively construct knowledge from experiences. They emphasize real-world problem solving. So now we talked about somewhere where external factors are affecting behaviorist. Cognitive, where your mind, how it understands things, how it assesses things, that's talked about. Constructivist is where we talk about learning from experiencing, like doing an internship, like building those models as projects in school, where you actually work on something, apply it, so that whatever you have learned becomes more concrete. So that is constructivist school of thought. Piaget, Vygotsky, and Brunner are the key theorists for this. There's something called discovery learning, which was a concept developed by Brunner, that learners explore, inquire, and discover facts and relationships on their own. So if you have heard these days, there's a lot of discussion whether the child should be put in state board or CBSE or IC, this international board, IB. And they said that in international board, the format of curriculum is very different from CBSE, where there's a lot of discovery learning, where students have to do things, students have to think, they have to build, so that they develop a mind where they are more creative and not just do rote memorization. So that is something similar to this. This theory talks about that. Okay, I'm just giving an example to make the concept clear. Encourages curiosity, exploration, active learning, and independence. Uses scaffolding, that is, support is given initially, but gradually as the learner starts to develop the cognitive faculties or starts to learn more about things, then the support is gradually withdrawn. This is called discovery learning. Next is the transformative learning theory, wherein transformation happens when you critical reflection happens, you learn something, you learn or you get to hear about something, and then something changes within you, and then you transform. So this usually happens in adult learning, not less, of course, in children. It does happen, but this is more related to adults. Learning means here in transformative learning is process of critical reflection leading to a change in perspective. Like when we read self-help books, suddenly we have a new perspective about something, and it brings about a change in our life, or at least a change in our perception about something. So that is transformative learning. Often used in adult education and personal development. The key theorist is Jack Mezirow. It involves disorienting dilemma, like confusion between 2 or 3 choices, self-examination. You reflect, you do assessments, you fill those MBTI kind of questions, you analyze your strengths, you do SWOT analysis, you examine yourself. What happened, why it happened, how could I do it better? These kind of questions are a part of transformative learning. Transformation in your belief system. For example, an adult learner, like let's say there was a workshop on POSH or on gender discrimination in the office, and an adult learner realizes gender bias in the workplace and starts advocating for equality. So that's transformative learning. The next is social learning theory, where you learn by modeling or observing others in the society, people around you. even without direct reinforcement. Subconsciously, we do imitate our parents, our teachers in a lot of aspects, especially the children. It is said that they don't do what you say, they do what you do. So that is social learning theory. It combines behavioral plus cognitive aspects. The main theorist is Albert Bandura. There are 4 key processes as a part of social learning theory. First, attention. That is, notice or observe the behavior or action. Second is retention. Remember whatever was the behavior or action. Reproduction. Now you imitate it. First you observe it, then you retain it in your mind, and then you imitate it, reproduce it. And last is motivation. When you imitate that behavior and you get praised for it, there's motivation to perform the action again and again. Like a student learns to use polite language after watching the teacher consistently model it. And when they are praised for that politeness, it teaches them that now they are more fully motivated to do it again and again. This is the social learning theory. Experiential learning theory. The key theorist is David Kolb. Kolb's learning cycle. So here he's in Kolb's learning cycle. It is that there are 4 steps of it. Concrete experience, like you do something, you get an experience of something. The next is reflection, that you observe and you think over whatever you have done or whatever you experienced. Once you think over it, you learn or take lessons from that experience. And then active experimentation. Whatever you have learned, based on it, you try something new or you bring about a change. Now, once you do that, you again do it. You do that action based on whatever new learning you have. Again, you reflect on it. This cycle goes on continuing. This is the experiential. That is based on experience. The word experiential comes from experience. So based on your experience, you keep on learning again and again. You experience, reflect, then you conclude or learn from it. Then you actively experiment and the cycle goes on. Concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, basically learning from it, and active experimentation. So trying again with whatever new things you have learned. This is called Kolb's experiential learning theory. Connectivism. Now, what is connectivism? It talks about more about digital connections. That is, you connect with people on your social media, on YouTube chats, and there also you get to learn things. Learning in the digital age through networks and connections. Knowledge is distributed across digital platforms. Learners' ability to find and use information is key. So digital literacy, information access, and connection over content. People, there's a post and then people are talking in comment about it. They get to learn while discussing things with each other. That is connectivism learning theory. The theorists are George Simmons and Stephen Downes. For example, MOOCs, learning through YouTube, blogs, forums, all this could be called connectivism learning theory. Asubel's subsumption theory. Now, this is a theory which says that learning is meaningful when new knowledge connects to existing cognitive structures. So whatever you already know or whatever is introduced as context. So like in the beginning, when I started the session, I could have directly started with teaching theories. But I started by saying that this is for paper 1, we'll be covering all the topics. This is what is going to be the format. This is going to be the sequence of the session. And today I'm going to cover this. Day 2 and day 3 topics are this. We will also be discussing previous year questions. This gave you a context in your mind. So that is an advanced organizer. This context which is given is advanced organizer. Introductory material presented before new content helps learner relate prior knowledge to new concepts. So when you, this was just an example. So when you give that context and then you teach, connections are formed between both of them. Like whatever is existing, over that new knowledge is built and connections are formed between them. So focus is on meaningful learning over rote learning. Okay, that is Asubel's subsumption theory. For example, before a lecture, you show a concept map that this is how the concept is going to be, and then you start teaching. So students have an idea of, or they know what to expect. If I just start teaching learning and theories, you would be worried like, is she going to take it for half an hour, 1 hour? Are we going to cover anything else? What's going to be the plan for the next 3 days, right? But if I show it to you in advance, you would know what's going to happen, so that you have an idea that, okay, this is all that is going to happen. So you can connect it more better, build more new knowledge on it. This is a summary of all the theories that we talked about so far. You can click a screenshot of this. This will help you just do a quick recap of all the theories. Please take a screenshot and then we can move forward. This is the maximum size that I could do of PPT, Chamiji. So I know. Just if you're watching it on your mobile, just rotate your screen. Okay. I've tried to take as little content in each slide as possible. Types of teaching models. I'm not on mute, right? No. Okay. Okay, so now for teaching models, sometimes questions are asked from it. What I have given is a classification of different kinds of teaching models. It is not the names of the models. It's rather the sections in which different models are classified. So if you talk about overall classification, historical teaching model, psychological teaching model, and modern teaching model. So if we talk about historical teaching model, Socratic teaching model, classical humanistic, and personal development. These have been there since history. Psychological is when we talk about the way people think, the way people behave, the effect of emotions. Basic teaching model, interaction between student, teacher, school learning teaching model, and computer-based teaching. Modern teaching models are information processing teaching model, personal teaching model, again, social interaction, and behavior modification. Let's just look at all these teaching models quickly. Why knowing this is important, I'll tell you once we go through all. Okay. Okay, so Socratic teaching model is based on dialogue and inquiry. If you know about a bit about the history, so Socrates, Plato, the teacher used to ask questions, the student used to ask questions, and the teacher used to answer. It's more like the Gurukul way. Like if you see our scriptures also, it's more like students asking questions and teacher answering them. So based on dialogue and inquiry, that is called the Socratic teaching model. Uses questions to stimulate critical thinking and self-discovery. The teacher asks questions, the students answer, each of them answers differently, then the teacher adds on to it. So it's the historical Gurukul kind of model, encourages students to challenge assumptions and think independently. Okay. Classical humanistic model. I'm on the right slide, right? Yeah, I'm on the right slide. Classical humanistic model has more of a student-centered approach, like motivate the students, creativity, self-expression. When we talk about more about arts, that is classical humanistic model. Teachers are facilitators, and like if you see, a teacher won't tell student what to paint. They'll say, put your feelings onto paper. This is how the brush strokes would go. They don't tell how to take each stroke to the student. That's the classical humanistic model. Personal development model is personal growth, self-awareness, developing interpersonal skills, like goal setting, self-reflection. Let's say a prince is being taught about politics. So no, rather politics about etiquettes, that how to walk, how to talk, how to behave with others, how to do negotiation discussions. So that would be a personal development model. If we talk about psychological teaching models, the basic teaching model has 4 stages: preparation, presentation, practice, and assessment. So you set objectives and plan lessons, you present new concepts. The students, so first you plan your lesson. Second, you teach that lesson. Third, the students apply whatever they have learned. And then last is assessment. An exam is taken in oral, written, any form to assess how much the student has learned. The basic teaching model. Interaction is where there's collaboration, discussion, problem solving, activity based. There's an interaction between the teacher and students. School learning is multiple influences like motivation, engagement. There are different forms of instructions. Data-driven teaching, something what I'm doing right now. That is data-driven teaching. And computer-based teaching model is somewhere where technology is integrated, where recordings are given, and on your own time, in your own speed, you are able to learn things. Okay. So, or when you learn from YouTube videos, that's also computer-based teaching model. Modern teaching models would be information processing teaching model. Now, information processing teaching models are where cognitive models which focus on how students learn or how do they process information. So again, these models are more cognitive, where they talk about how the brain works, how the things are understood, how connections are formed in brain based on new knowledge, old knowledge, all these kind of things. That is information processing teaching model. Rehearsal, mnemonics, mind maps, elaboration, metacognitive skills, self-monitoring, reflection, regulation, all of this are I'm sorry. All of this are a part of information processing teaching model. Personal teaching model is focusing on emotional intelligence, self-awareness, empathy, communication. It's like creating an environment where student learns along with emotional development. Okay. What is Socratic model? We started with that, ma'am. I'll come to it at the end. Okay. So personal teaching model focuses more on emotional intelligence, where you create a supportive environment for academic and emotional development. It uses a lot of interactive teaching strategies. Social interaction teaching model. Now this is collaborative learning, group activities, group projects, group tasks, group discussions. Students are divided into groups and then they have to complete something. That is the social interaction teaching model. It's a shared social experience, what we say. And behavior modification. This is positive and negative reinforcement, which we talked about in behaviorist school of thought. Like clear behavioral goals are there. There's monitoring, strategic adjustment. There's positive reinforcement. Awards are given for good behavior. Punishment is given for bad behavior. Something is taken away to avoid bad behavior. That way, encouraging desirable behaviors, discouraging negative ones. You can consider this as whatever is, the discipline part of the school can be an example of behavior modification teaching model. So these are the different teaching models. So you need to know what's there in each of them. Please pay attention during the session. I understand it's technology and sometimes you might log in, log out. But if I start repeating all the concepts, then we might not reach the end of the session. Just to repeat, Socratic teaching model is more like a Gurukul-based system where where the students ask questions and the teachers give them answer, or teacher asks questions and then students give different answers based on their critical thinking or the reflection, and then the teacher adds on to it. So in the historical era where you can imagine that there's a tree and there's the teacher sitting under the tree and the students are sitting below around and they are having a discussion. That is the Socratic teaching model. Okay. Just to give in, ma'am, if I start on the slideshow, I won't be able to see your chats because my screen would be covered with slideshows. So I won't be able to go back and forth. That's, what should I say? That's the drawback of technology. We can't have everything. Like I'll probably need to see your chat somewhere else. Just let me, if I can still, cut down somewhere, because like even if I extend it here, the size is still going to be this. Yeah. Okay, so why? It's okay. Let me see if I can do slideshows, because probably the next slide would require. Okay. Once there was a question asked that out of the given 5 models, which are information processing teaching models? And then options were given where there was combination of 3 different models. Option A, 3 different numbers. Option B, 3 different numbers, that way. So once such a question has been asked, so the options given were Schumann's model, laboratory model, Gagne's information model, social inquiry model, and Jerome Bruner's model. So I thought at least let me cover this many models. There are a lot of other models. It's not possible to cover all of it. And I don't think you should also be spending a lot of time on this. These have already been asked, so I'm covering it. Okay. Schumann's model is obviously an information development model where it emphasizes that technology and media should be integrated in education in the instructional design, use of projectors, use of slides, creating interactive learning environment using videos, images, along with whatever the teacher is saying. So that is Schumann's model. Laboratory model is something that involves hands-on experiential learning, like we do experiments in labs and learn. We learn that when we mix two chemicals, a third chemical is formed, and this is the byproduct. So when we mix those 2 liquids under laboratory conditions, and we see that something was formed and a byproduct was formed, that's how we learn and remember it. So it's a hands-on experiential learning laboratory setting model. Okay, practical application experimentation. Gagne's information model, developed by Robert Gagne, it involves presenting information in a structured manner. A lot of times questions have been asked from this model, so we are going to take this in detail, either as the last topic today or as the first topic tomorrow, depending on the time. It involves presenting information in a structured manner, using various instructional strategies, and we will discuss all the instructional strategies. Okay. Social inquiry model. So here, social interaction is promoted, collaborative learning, critical thinking. And Jerome Brunel's model, it emphasizes importance of active learning, discovery, and constructivism. Okay. So based on the previous learning theories, if you remember, we talked about constructivist theory, that's Jerome Brunner's model. So if you probably have this question, laboratory model is understood. Gagnes is something that most people prepare for UGC that they would know. Social inquiry, understood. Jerome Brunner and Schumann's you would not know. So,
Ma'am, I'm very sorry to interrupt you. Could you please change the slide for us?
okay. So if I go on a slideshow, you are not able to see the slides? Yeah, see, that's what I said. Okay, now can you see the next slide? Now can you see the next slide, right? So that's why I say, I just tried to see if the slideshow works. But if I put it on slideshow, it is slideshow for me, not for you. So so then I think we have to go with this. Okay, so social inquiry model, social interaction, Jerome Brunner's is the constructivist based on doing things, that model. So when this question is asked, the answer would be ACE. So here you can use two ways to answer. See, Jerome Brunner's and Schumann's, if you don't know the names of the scientists, and you can understand based on social inquiry, Gagnes, and laboratory that probably social inquiry would not be something that is cognitive. Laboratory is not cognitive. So C is something which is information. Now you know that. So you can remove all those options where C is not there. Then you have to do guesswork. This is one of the strategies for answering questions where you don't know things. Because honestly, in such examinations, it's not possible for you to cover everything. Even if you cover all kinds of topics from all notes, from all books, still there might be a question which could come where you don't know the answer. And because there's no negative marking so far, you should not leave the question empty. Okay? So this was a bit about teaching models. And just for a quick recap, what's important is this and this slide. Okay, these two slides are important for you. Please take a screenshot of this. Mostly, if you know this, then things would be okay. Like, say, if you see the name Brunner here. So if you see Brunner's model in exam, then you should know that it's a constructivist model. Okay. Now a few previous year questions based on these models. So as per cognitive development theory of Jean Piaget, adolescent students are in which stage of development? Sensory motor, concrete operational, operational, or formal operational? What's the answer? A, sensory motor. C, operational. Formal operational. What do you consider as adolescent? F? There's no option F. Acha, D. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Omaji, do you have a question or was it raised by mistake? Yes, it was raised by mistake. Okay. So the answer is no, I have to go back to the screenshot. Yeah, D. Just a quick recap. Sensory motor is 0 to 2 years, pre-operational 2 to 7, concrete operational 7 to 11, and adolescence would be after 12 years, not before that. Okay, we learn the different kinds of adolescence tomorrow when we do a lot adolescent learner characteristics. Learning approaches. Any questions so far? That is all. Yes, Nilimachi, you're right. Pedagogy, andragogy, heutagogy. There might be a question based on it. There might not be, but this is again basics. So as teachers, we need to know this, because when nowadays UGC does not have direct theory questions. Who gave this theory? No, it's rather like which theory is applicable. If this is the example, it's an example for which theory of which level. These kind of questions are asked. So when you know all these terms, the meaning of these terms, it becomes easy for you to rule out options also. So that's why I have taken this. Pedagogy is child focused. Andragogy means adult focused. And heutagogy is self-determined learning. Please mute yourself. So pedagogy is the art and science of teaching children what we do in school. Teacher directs what, how, and when learning occurs. So when my 5-year-old daughter, she goes to school, her madam says stand in one line, all the children stand in one line. They do not question, they do not say why. They have been trained, har subah assembly mein karna hai, to karna hai. Passive recipient of knowledge. The focus is on content delivery. Learner dependency is high. They are highly dependent on teachers. Motivation is external. Marks, rewards, those stars that they get, it's a huge achievement. Aaj to star mil gaya. My madam gave me a star, she gave me a smiley. Sometimes she will draw a chocolate, and that's the biggest motivation for these kids. Learning style, structured and guided. The lesson plans have been there in place since eons, and they are not mostly changed also. Role of the teacher is authoritative. That's pedagogy. Now, andragogy is adult learners. The term has been coined by Malcolm Knowles. This is again important to remember. Adults have their prior experience, so they expect to be respected. So all of you are adults here, right? So if I disrespect you, that would not be okay. If the teacher says, "Aisa nahi karoge na, to kal maar padegi." She says that to my 5-year-old daughter. She does not, of course, beating in school is not allowed. But she can say that. Can I say that to you? No. Why? Because as adults, you expect respect. So what we are doing here is andragogy, not pedagogy. Learner role, active and self-directed. You can put it in your ears and you might be watching TV along with it or scrolling Instagram along with it. Or you might be sitting with your laptop, like someone said that I have started it on my laptop and with full focus listen to it. So the learning is active and the learner role is active and self-directed. Okay. The focus is on process and application. Learner dependency on the teacher is moderate. Motivation is intrinsic, probably for career growth, right? We are all giving UGC NET exam. Why? So that you can grow in your career. Relevance, self-development, developing your own interpersonal skills. Learning style is collaborative, discussion-based, like I asked at a question and you give me answers, or probably when I tried the slideshow and it was stuck, someone said that, sorry to interrupt, but the slides are not moving. So that way. So it's collaborative, and the role of a teacher is more of a facilitator or coach, less of what happens in school with children. Assumptions of adult learning by Knowles. Adults need to know why they learn. So why are you all here? Because you want to clear UGC NET. Why do you want to clear UGC NET? All of you must be aware of that reason, right? If you are not aware, then it would be difficult to pass the exam because you will not feel motivated to work hard. Self-concept, autonomous. Prior experiences as a resource. If you have prior, I'm sure most of you must be having prior teaching experience, right? So when we talk about things here, you can build it up based on whatever you have done in your classrooms. When we talked about different theories, you could connect it with things that you have done in your class as a teacher, or probably what you have learned while learning how to teach. Readiness to learn linked to life roles. So because your life role is that of a teacher somewhere, that's why you are ready to learn for UGC NET exam. Problem-centered learning, the problem is the exam, and now you're trying to solve it. The motivation is internal. I did not come to your place and say, get enrolled, okay? There was an internal motivation that I need to clear the exam, and this could probably be of help, and that is why the final decision was yours to enroll, because you are an adult. So that's the difference between pedagogy and andragogy. For a child, mummy papa hi bhej dete school mein, right? Pedagogy is a student-centered learning approach where learners determine what and how they learn. It was developed by Hayes and Kenyon, and it focuses on developing capacity to learn independently. So the focus is on capability and adaptability. Let's say you read self-help book on your own, you think about it, you learn from it, or probably there's a YouTube video where you have no interaction with the person who's teaching there. Yet you learn from it, take your notes, revise it, do your own Google search, and then you learn the topic. That's pedagogy. Motivation is deeply intrinsic. When you are learning on your own, mostly, then your motivation has to be very, very high. Only then you can sustain. Learner dependency on the teacher is very low. Learning style, flexible, unstructured. It could be digital. That's what I said. You watch a YouTube video, you make notes, then you go and do some Google research, you use AI, and then you learn about that topic. The role of a teacher is mostly of a mentor or a guide. So I could say that these are the important topics, and you need to learn, and then we can practice the questions. So that would be pedagogy. Now, application in teaching. Pedagogy is for school children. Andragogy is for college, university, or training programs. Pedagogy is digital learning, research, and MOOCs. So like I said, we will cover the topics here. And then you can, do your own reading of notes. We'll share the PDFs, and you have to read it on your own. You have to prepare it on your own, and you have to give the exam also on your own. So pedagogy is, so our class is a kind of combination of andragogy and pedagogy. This is what you need to take a screenshot of. The summary of the teaching approaches. Thank you, Charmi ma'am. I just saw your message. Any questions so far? This is very, very simple. Nothing complex in this topic. What is going to be very, very important is levels of teaching. Okay. This is a topic जिसमें से 2-3 questions have to come. Memory, understanding, reflective, autonomous development. 4 levels of teaching. There has to be a question from this. Like, there's a huge resource of previous year questions when it comes to this topic. So much that, like, if I start taking them, we would be discussing them for 30 minutes. This is very, 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 very important topic. So for next few minutes, please pay attention. And whenever you revise, please do not forget to pay attention to this. You need to understand this topic very well, because application-based questions on levels of teaching are asked, whether they are asked in combination with Bloom's taxonomy or whether with other things, a lot of places. This is one of the favorite topics, levels of teaching. Teaching happens at different cognitive levels. Cognitive, brain. Each level has different objectives, uses different strategies, and engages different levels of mental processes. The 4 are Four key levels are memory level teaching called MLT, understanding level teaching called ULT, reflective level teaching called RLT, and autonomous development level. Memory means rote memorization. Ratta marna, remembering things. Everything that is related to remembering things falls in MLT. Understanding a concept, understanding something. Whatever the teacher is teaching, not do like BAT BAT is memorization. BAT BAT, BAT BAT, BAT BAT. But understanding what BAT is, understanding the phonics, that B is B, A is A, or A, T is stir, and then if I see a word called BAT, then it is B, A, T, that is BAT, that is understanding. Okay, reflective, to reflect is to think over something. So when something is given to you, some information is given to you, and you sit and comprehend and think and analyze, or probably create something new out of it, or get your own lessons from that experience, which is not directly told to you, but which you have understood from the depth of your own heart or your own mind. That is reflective level teaching. Autonomous development level is autonomous, learning on your own. Let's take a look at all these levels. Remember the names? Sometimes they don't, instead of talking models, they take the name of scientists and they confuse you. And if you see the name of scientist, you feel, "Arey, ye kya ho gaya?" No. Developed by Herbert. Herbert has given the concept of memory level teaching. So remember the person and the concept together. Okay, if Herbert comes, it is memory level teaching. Just like if they say Jerome Bruner's model, it is constructivist theory. But if you don't know the name of the theory, or who is the scientist associated with it, you will get confused. That's how they confuse you in the exam. Skinner and Pavlov is behavior. So Jean Piaget is again related to cognitive. So if you see Piaget, then you need to remember that this has got something to do with brain and those four levels called sensory, motor, pre-operational, former operational, that way. Let's come back to memory level teaching. Focus is on rote memorization, recalling facts, that is memorizing your, what kind of table do we call it? Where the elements are there, the periodic table or the tables, 1 ones are 1, 2 ones are 2, that way. These are all recalling, remembering the squares, that the square of 3 is 9, the cube of 3 is 27, memorized it. Information, whatever you have and you recall it. Formulas, when we used to have our algebraic formulas, that a plus b whole square is equal to a square plus 2ab plus b square. Now this is a formula. So we had to remember all these formulas. That is memory level teaching. Psychological basis is stimulus response. Behaviorist theory. The teacher's role is dominant because the teacher is giving information, and the learner is a passive recipient. Because like in the school, madam says, "Chalo abhi poem gao," and the interclass is singing Baba Black Sheep. So that's memory level teaching. Features suitable for beginners and younger students. Low cognitive demand. It's memory or remembering things is a lower cognitive function. Whereas if you have to do critical thing, it's a higher cognitive function. The learning outcome is knowledge recall. Drill, practice, repetition are the tools for memory level teaching. Understanding level teaching goes one step above memory. Morrison is the name that you need to remember for ULT. Herbert for memory. Morrison for ULT or understanding level teaching. The focus is on comprehension and interpretation. What's the objective of it? Enable students to understand the meaning. So there's a poem and a teacher explains the meaning of the poem to the students. Okay, I think Gujarati example would not be appropriate here. Let's say there was a poem by Rabindranath Tagore, which was translated from Bengali to English, for which, like when he won the Nobel Prize, one of the poems which we always have in our school. I am not able to recall, but it's about the country. So understanding the meaning of that poem, I hope you get the point. Like understanding meaning of the poem would be an example here. Let's move ahead. I'm not able to recall that poem right now. Psychological basis is cognitive theory of Piaget and Brunner. Okay. Did someone share the name of the poem? No. Gitanjali. No. Where the mind is without fear. Yes. That one. Where the mind is without fear and the heart is something. Something that always baffled me was who writes poem these ways? Aren't poems supposed to rhyme? Later on, as I grew up, I understood that it was a translated poem. So understanding that where the mind is without fear, what does it mean? So the teacher teaches the meaning of the poem to the student. That is understanding level teaching. Teacher's role is of an explainer or guide, and the learner's role. Sorry, okay, tongue twisted. Active and asks questions. Then what is the meaning of this? Can it mean this way? Poems do have a lot of underlying meanings. The author might have thought of something else, and we analyze it to be something else. Literary criticism. Okay. Features of ULT, suitable for secondary level and above. Moderate cognitive involvement. What does it involve? Explanation, examples, and questioning. So what's the outcome? Basically, conceptual clarity. Not just memorization. If you memorize, you might forget. But when you have conceptual clarity, you can write the answer in your own words and still get marks for it. Just to give an example. Reflective level teaching is the highest level of teaching. Like in MLT, ULT, RLT, it's a higher level. It talks about critical thinking and problem solving. Develop learners' ability to reflect and reason. So the psychological basis is constructivist. That is, you do something, projects, models, and then you learn from it. Or humanist. Dewey and Vygotsky, they have given these theories. So stimulator, facilitator is the role of the teacher. Students are active, students are sitting in groups and they are doing group projects. So what does the teacher have to do? Just ensure that everyone is able to perform the group activity. Okay. Learner's role is highly active and independent because once they are given instructions, now they all that they have to do is do on their own. The features are suitable for advanced learners. What does it involve? Deep thinking, hypothesis testing, decision making, case studies, debates, inquiry-based learning. So what the outcome is? Higher order thinking. What's autonomous development level? Learners' self-growth, self-regulation. So how do you do it? Internal motivation and personal mastery. So metacognition and self-directed learning, more of learning on your own. That's Knowles and Carl Rogers. These two people have given theories related to that. The teacher's role is more of a mentor or a coach. They say that you need to do these practices. I'll teach you how to do the meditation, but every day now you have to do it on your own. So that's the mentor. Learner's role is fully independent and reflective. You need to take a screenshot of this. This is your, I don't know, why have I not done this? Okay, please take a screenshot of this. Quick notes, if you want to just quickly recall the 3 levels of learning along with autonomous learning. Can we get the recording of this? Yes, you will get access to the recording. Like once we edit and remove all the technical things, you will get the recording. When it will be uploaded, you will also get informed in the group and you will have access to it till the exam day. Okay. Okay, so now let's solve some questions based on this. A teacher gives a lot of positive and negative examples to support his/her presentation in the classroom. This will be related to which level of teaching? Please answer in chat box. Yes, you're right. It's understanding level, if I remember correctly. So examples are given to facilitate the understanding of learners, and that is why it falls in understanding level. The emphasis in memory level teaching is on which of the following? You have 6 options. You have to choose which of these fall in memory level teaching. Organization of thoughts and ideas, seeing of relationships among facts, systematic presentations to enable quick reproduction, critical thinking, mastery of concept, sequencing of facts, segregating one feature from another. ABC. Change next slide. No, this is the question. So out of A, B, and C, A, B, C, D, E, F, which 3 are related to memory level teaching? You have 4 options. A, B, and C, A, C, and D, B, C, and D, and D, E, and F. You need to choose one. Okay, so we have A, we have B, anyone wants to go for C and D? Okay. So the answer is B. Organization of thoughts and ideas. Systematic presentations to enable quick reproduction. Reproduction is what? You memorize and then you say it. You say, okay, see this, and then you repeat it. And mastery of concept sequencing of facts. Critical thinking will not be there. Seeing of relationships, what are the connections? Again, that's understanding, not memorizing. And segregating one feature from another would also require understanding it. Okay. Next. A college level assistant professor, college level, has planned her lectures with an intent to develop cognitive dimensions. So see the keyword here, when you understand college level, you realize that the students here are adults. Cognitive dimensions, they are talking about brain. Of students centered on skills of analysis and synthesis. Now we have set 1 and set 2. You have match A with B kind of question. Okay. Set 1 is levels of cognitive interchange, and set 2 is basic requirements for promoting cognitive interchange. This is the question. Levels of cognitive interchange is the name of memory level, understanding level, reflective level. Basic requirements for promoting cognitive interchange. Okay, so what happens in that level? You have 4 options: giving opportunity for discriminating examples and non-examples of a point, recording the important points made during presentation, asking students to discuss various items of information, critically analyzing the points to be made and discussed. Which combination is correct? B and C. Anyone wants to go for A and D? What if the answer was on A and D and not B and C? Just because everyone else is writing B and C, you cannot write B and C. Okay, we have 1D now. Just because I said that does not mean the answer has to be A and D. The answer is C. Okay. Recording important points. Presentation is there. You are just noting it down and you will memorize it. That's memory level. Discriminating examples. Just now in the previous question I said, when you have to segregate something, that means you need to understand the concept to be able to understand whether which one is the odd one out or how do you classify two things. And critically analyzing is reflective level action. Asking the students to discuss is instruction from the teacher. Discussing something is not, asking the students to discuss is not directly relevant here. Okay. Moving on. Again, match A. Now, these questions have been asked, okay, previously. These are previous year questions. So now you see, this is how the application of MLT, ULT, and RLT is there. You need to have clarity of the concept because they will ask questions like in memory level teaching, which one is there? There are a lot of questions. You will at least have one or two questions short from this. Set 1 provides different levels of learning, MLT, ULT, RLT, according to Bloom's taxonomy, while set 2 gives their examples. So you have to match set 1 and set 2. 1 minute. Sorry. This question should come after Bloom's taxonomy. It's a Bloom's taxonomy question. We'll take it later. Okay. Bye-bye. We'll come to that later on. It's for the next topic. So before we go there, if anyone has any questions so far, because now we'll go to Bloom's taxonomy, and if time permits, we'll also take Gardner and Briggs classification, which has 2 classifications actually. There's and the third smaller one also. A lot of information in that. And Bloom's taxonomy, as all of us know, is very, very important. And there are very few people who have remembered it, which is what I realized in the webinar on Saturday. When I asked a question related to Bloom's taxonomy, it took a lot of time for 2-3 people to answer in a class of more than 60-70 people. So it's very important. You need to have Bloom's taxonomy by heart, rote memorization, and then understanding, and then reflective level application, because in questions, they don't ask you just the levels, they will ask you to match the examples, and lot of mix and match would happen. Okay, so you need to have very clear idea of what Bloom's taxonomy is. Please give me a moment. Okay, thank you. Thank you. That is exactly what a teacher wants, right? The praise from students is my motivation. It keeps me going to work. Okay, so let's start with Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy has cognitive, affective, psychomotor, 3 domains. Cognitive is brain, affective is related to emotions, and psychomotor is, wherever the word motor comes, it is motor skills, hands and legs. Okay. In biology, central nervous system, and this is the peripheral, the motor skills, the motor nerves. Okay. So these are the brain nerves which think and analyze, and there are motor nerves which send the messages to your hands and legs. So that is why psychomotor. Okay. So wherever the word motor is there, it has got a lot to do with your hands and legs. Basically working and not just sitting and thinking. Cognitive is all thinking. Affective is emotions. Mostly wherever the word affective is used when it comes to these kind of settings where you have a lot of research and depth and theories and stuff like that, affective is mostly related to emotions. So Bloom's taxonomy has 3 domains: cognitive, affective, psychomotor. All of them were not given by Bloom. Bloom had given the cognitive one, but then his students further developed the other domains. So they have considered it a part of Bloom's taxonomy only. So the 6 steps that we see is actually just the cognitive domain. Okay. Okay. It was developed by Benjamin Bloom in 1956, revised by Anderson and Cratchwell, who were his students, in 2001. Bloom's taxonomy includes 3 domains: cognitive, intellectual skills; affective, emotional; and psychomotor, physical skills. Okay. Please change slide. No, the slide is being changed. If it's not loading, then probably your internet is slow. The 3 domains of learning are not mutually exclusive. It's like they are not different. When I am talking to you, I am not just using only my brain. My hands are also being used, but more importantly, my emotions and feelings are also being used. Like when someone said that, can you please repeat this? I was like, if I repeat this, how am I going to cover everything in 2 hours? So that's my emotion. So it's not that all of these are mutually exclusive, but just for the sake of preparing our lessons, or how are we going to teach learners to decide that, or understanding things, we have differentiated them into 3 domains. Cognitive and affective, that is emotional learning, takes place simultaneously. In a classroom, when a teacher teaches, it's not just the brain is working. The emotions of the child are also being affected. Or the emotion of the adult learners are also being affected. Okay. Maybe when I say something or do something, or probably, when the size of the slide is small, you feel irritated. So that's your emotion along with cognitive happening, right? So, but that's not the correct example. It's like let's say if it was a group activity, along with critical reflection, the children are also learning social skills, or how to talk with the other person, or how to work, collaborate. So that emotional learning of how to talk with the other person is also happening side by side, that I should respect my friend, or he will not help me, or we will not be able to complete the project. 6 hierarchical levels. So what's the use of Bloom's taxonomy? It helps plan learning objectives. When we have to write our learning objectives for our lesson plans, Bloom's taxonomy is very useful. Choose teaching strategies. What do you want as the outcome? You can choose teaching strategies based on that. And also for designing assessments to know how much the student has learned. The 6 levels developed by Benjamin Bloom in noun form in 1956 were knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. This is how it went: low level to higher level. In 2001, when Anderson and Cratchwell revised it, they revised it to verb form. So knowledge became remembering, comprehension became understanding, application became applying, analysis became analyzing, and the sequence of synthesis and evaluation was interchanged. Evaluating and creating something new became even more difficult as compared to evaluating. So this is the Bloom's taxonomy. So now when we usually talk about Bloom's taxonomy, like if they say that applying the levels of Bloom taxonomy, you need to consider this one, which was given in 2001. Okay. Because in questions also, you will find the words given from the newer version, not the older version, mostly. So let's learn about the 6 levels. Remember is recall facts and basic concepts. Understand, explain ideas or concepts. Apply is use the information in new situation. Analyze, draw connections among ideas. Evaluate is justify a stand or decision, appraise, argue, defend. If you see, there are a lot of verbs also given here. So you can take a screenshot of this slide, and in your free time, You can just take a look at all these verbs. You can also search which are the verbs related to each of this level. Why am I saying that? Because the question is asked that which of these are analyzing. And then they will give you 4 activities. So if you know which verbs fall in which category, you will be able to answer that question. Like you saw for memory level teaching, 6 options were given and you had to choose combination of 3 correct options, like A, C and D, that way. So if they say that which of these are evaluate activities, 6 activities are given and 3 combinations are given as 4 options. So you need to know that appraise, argue, defend, judge, select, support, value, critique, weigh. All these are action verbs, which are rather than action verbs, I should say cognitive verbs related to the word evaluate or to the level of evaluate in Bloom's taxonomy. Okay. Create is produce new or original work. Design, assemble, construct, conjecture, develop, formulate, author, investigate. Okay. Analyze, I'll say the verbs because I think it might be very small for you to see. Differentiate, organize, relate, compare, contrast, distinguish, examine, experiment, question, test. All of these are analyzing. Applying information is execute, implement, solve, use. You know the formula, now you implement it to solve the question. Demonstrate, you know your knowledge, now you have to demonstrate. The teacher mixed 2 chemicals and now you're supposed to mix both of them, looking at how she has done it or he has done it. Operate, schedule, sketch, copy the drawing, that is, or copy whatever is written on the blackboard or the written in the book or whatever is there in front of your eyes, that is apply. Understand. Understand is explain the ideas or concepts, classify, segregate, describe, discuss, explain, identify, locate, recognize, report, select, translate. And the lowest level, that is remember, define, duplicate, list, memorize, repeat, state. All these are remember verbs. Okay. So knowing what happens in each level of learning, what is the outcome, what are the learning objectives, will help you answer questions related to Bloom's taxonomy. You can take a screenshot of this. Meenakshi ma'am, you have written that, can you please show previous slide? If you can just write which topic the slide was, I'll just show it to you again, okay? No worries. Please take a screenshot of this slide and then we discuss examples for each of the 6 levels, just so that we consolidate the learning. For anyone who wants me to repeat any slide because you have not taken a screenshot of it, you can tell me at the end, especially after like 8 o'clock or once I finish all the theories, because then I can show you things again, and I want all the literature or the paper to people to go in their session. Okay, so those who are not going there can repeat slides for you at that time at the end. No worries. Very first, where it originated and revised. Oh, that one. I'll just do that. Please take a quick screenshot of it, okay? This one? At originated years and names of the scientists you can see in the slide below. Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. It's not possible to share the entire PPT. But you can take screenshot of every screen, no worries. Just in case if you wanted this slide, I'm showing this slide also again. Yep, let's go. Remember, is recalling information. For example, name the capitals of each of the states of India. Who are the chief ministers of each of the state of the India? We used to have a sir in 8th standard. He used to be like, Who's the chief minister of Jharkhand? Now, we didn't have Google that time. So every day in newspaper, like we were a group of students in the class who used to be the toppers. So we used to read the newspaper to see if any chief minister has been named, and we used to make a list of, we remembered the capitals, but we also used to make a list of all the chief ministers and governors, so that, you know, if the sir asks, then we can answer that question. So that's something that he used to make us do just for our general knowledge. So list the steps of a process. So can name or list the 4 common skills of skiing. These are examples of learning objectives. Can describe or state the main point of the article. Can recall that the foot and the leg turn under a stable upper body. Okay, it's a machine engineering related learning objective. So these are the kind of learning objectives that would be in remember. In understand, explaining of concepts. So describes causes of events. Why did this happen? Can summarize the main component of each skill. Can generalize why this article is important to ski instructors. Can explain the ball and socket joint, separating the lower and upper body, facilitating rotation of the leg. So this is anatomy, I guess, or it can also be engineering if we consider it's the leg of a machine. So ball and socket joint, how does it work? You have understood it and now you are able to explain it. So that learning objective falls under understand. Using information in real world contexts, like using a formula to solve a problem. Can demonstrate a teaching progression using one of the skills for a medium radius open parallel ear. Okay, if you don't understand this, basically it's demonstrating something. The teacher has taught that this is how the seat belt, look, the air hostess says that this is how you can put the seat belt. Now you take the seat belt and you put it. So that is what you have applied, whatever she has taught. Okay. Can demonstrate how to apply the concept in short versus medium radius turn. Can apply and show steering movements that contribute to the shaping of a turn. Breaking down parts, saying how they are connected with each other. Differentiate the causes versus the symptoms. Can compare and contrast. Compare and contrast kind of questions fall here. How the common skills relate to specific body parts. Can infer and outline how to apply the concepts using multiple examples for both a child and adult following the teaching cycle. Can deconstruct and conclude the outcomes of stopping the rotation of the foot and leg in the fall line of a turn. Okay. So now, as you see, the learning objectives are becoming more difficult as we are going at a higher cognitive level. Evaluate, making your judgments with justification. Based on whatever you have learned, understood, applied, analyzed, now you are taking decisions. Critique a policy decision. The government has given this policy, or let's say the university has given this policy, and we are critiquing whether it is right or wrong, what are its advantages, what are its disadvantages. No one has taught that to us. But when we read it, we ourselves are able to see and understand and evaluate that these could be the advantages, this could be the possible problems that arise. Can appraise the accuracy and effectiveness of progressions based on student outcomes, and can defend the method. So defend is giving arguments in favor of something. Can argue both points. Why would you have been successful or not successful had you been the author of the article topic? So this is all critiquing things, giving your opinions, making judgments based on whatever you have learned. Can describe and defend when a student is ready to move to steeper terrain based on root tree skill blending. So you can describe that these are the, at this point, the student will be able to go ahead, and you will, and if you are able to assess also. So let's say for tests, where there are no MCQs. You are given an essay. The students have written an essay. You read it and you are able to analyze that, not analyze, evaluate that. This answer should be given 4 out of 5 and this answer should be given 2 out of 5. What you are doing is you are evaluating that what is the level of the answer that the student has written. Okay? This is not taught to you. This you do it using your own judgment. And the last is create. Basically, put something new, which is not seen before. Design a new lesson plan or design an invention. Can formulate and construct a new alternative teaching progression based on the outcome shown by student. Can propose and write a new ending to the article based on how you would utilize information for your clients. Can combine skills and relate outcomes of edging movements. So now you are creating your new movements, new ways to solve things. That is create. What's the use of Bloom's taxonomy in teaching and assessment? Smart learning objectives, like from verbs level to frame questions. For preparing questions of the question paper, like define photosynthesis. That's remembering. Design and experiment. Create. Ensures alignment between teaching, learning, and testing. Sample question stems for each of the levels. Remember would be what is. List the steps of. Understand is explain the meaning of. Apply is how would you use. Analyze what are the parts of. Evaluate which is better and why. Create is can you design a solution to something. You're asking for a new solution from the other person or the student or the learner or the other party. You have given a problem, the solution is not there and they are supposed to design something new. So this is the 6 cognitive levels of Bloom's taxonomy. Please give me its PDF. It is too much. Sorry, ma'am. That would not be possible, but you do have the entire recording of the session given. You can just take a look at the entire recording. The PDF would be my intellectual property. So. Okay. Please show the 4th point. This one, analyze. Breaking down parts and seeing relationships or connections between the different aspects of something. Okay. So far so clear with Bloom's taxonomy, cognitive domain. Then we can move to the next one. There's no, I have not created any summary of it because I think that pyramid itself, the first figure which I showed of the pyramid and its description is the summary of the Bloom's taxonomy. But you need to know what is the application of each level, what are the types of questions in each level, because that is how questions are asked in UGC NET paper. Okay. Just so that we cover everything and not miss out in case questions are asked, we'll discuss a little bit about the affective domain and also about the psychomotor domain. Affective domain is more about feelings, values, emotions. 5 sublevels. First is receiving. Receiving is your willingness to listen attentively to a story. So when the learner or the student is ready to learn, that's receiving. Next is responding. When you ask a question and the students respond, like when I show you the question and you are giving me ABC answer, that is responding. Okay. Valuing, your willingness to be involved, your willingness to be present here, showing respect for other people's opinions, that is valuing. So some of the people said B, some of the people said C, but no one was like, you don't even know that much. That is valuing other people's opinions. Organizing, willingness to be an advocate of an idea. So when you understand something and when you accept it when you start believing in it, now you are ready to fight for it. That is organizing. And characterization. Willingness to change one's behavior or way of life, like consistently act with integrity. These are the 5 affective level domain. The receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, and characterization. Psychomotor domain has 2 classifications. I am showing you both. Just in case they ask application-based questions from either of them. There's a slight overlap between both the domains, so both the classifications for psychomotor. Psychomotor is basically how you develop your skills using hands. Missed point 2. Point 2 is, I think, responding. I'll just go back again. I think I took it a bit fast there. Only 2 slides. Receiving, responding. Willingness to listen, willingness to participate, willingness to be involved. This valuing, organizing is willingness to be an advocate of idea, and characterization is willingness to change one's behavior or way of life. If you are taking screenshots, do that. If you are taking screenshot of this, also do that. Okay, psychomotor domain is more about your hands, your technical skills. First is imitation, copying or mimicking the actions of a model or instructor. Now this is Dave's psychomotor domain. Okay, Dave is the name of the scientist who has discussed this. Copy or mimic the actions of the model or instructor. Like a student watches a teacher perform yoga pose and then tries to do the same pose. That is imitation. Next is manipulation. Now you are given a set of instructions and with trial and error you are trying to perform the task. So that is manipulation. A science student operates a microscope to observe a slide. You are adjusting knobs, you are adjusting the focal length, you are adjusting the lighting to see when does the vision become clear. That is manipulation. Precision. When you perform something or perform a skill with accuracy, control, and the least possible errors, that's precision. So let's say a nursing student gives an injection accurately after repeated practice. So she has done her internship, she has given injections to thousands of patients, and now she knows where the vein is, and she can give the injection in one shot without practicing. So this depends on which kind of lab do you go, whether lab test costs 300 rupees or 500 rupees, or whether a nurse is taking your blood or an intern is taking your blood. Okay, that is precision, following all the safety protocols. Articulation. You have achieved the desired level of efficiency and effectiveness by coordinating multiple actions through practice. So when someone plays a piano, hands, pedal, expression, all of it is used together to complete the piece with fluency. So like I am having my Google Meet open, I am having my PPT open, and my hands and my mouth is also working together. Not a great example to give, but I hope you get the point. Multiple actions are being done together, that's articulation. And naturalization is the highest level where the skill is internalized. What we say is, रात को नींद में से उठा के बोला तो भी कर देंगे. Like if you wake me up in the middle of night and if my PPT is ready and you ask me to take a class, it would take me 5 or 10 minutes to get in the zone and then I can start teaching. I'm sure as teachers, all of you also must have reached that point, at least if you are veterans with 1 or 2 years of experience. It's just like, give me some points and I can go in front of a class and continue for an hour. Okay, all of us have that talent now because that's naturalization of teaching skills has come. Kar lenge, kuch to kar lenge for 1 hour. An individual is able to adapt, modify, design new techniques, methods, or procedures according to the situation. A surgeon performs a complex procedure confidently and adjusts techniques mid-surgery. All of a sudden, there's bleeding in between, and they are like, okay, yeah, let's do this, do this, do this. Adapting to the situation. All of a sudden, let's say, I'll not jinx it by saying power cut. Let's say in a classroom, you are taking a session and you are taking a class, and all of a sudden they say that due to XYZ real reason, the classes will be over early today, and you have to cut your point midway. In the next 5 minutes, you will cover your 30 minutes of topic and then end the session and tell the students go home. That's naturalization. So Dave's psychomotor domain classification has 5: imitation, manipulation, precision, articulation, and naturalization. The second classification is Simpson's psychomotor domain, and this one is a bit more famous. This one is a bit more famous, and this has, I think, 7 steps instead of 5. Perception is first, which basically means awareness. You use your 5 senses: eyes, ears, nose, mouth, touch, to understand, observe, become aware of something. The next step is set. Set is the readiness to act, like what we said, the willingness to listen. So here, set is the readiness to act. It includes mental, physical, and emotional set. Now you are at get, set, go, ready to perform the action. Guided response is copy. So the first step of Dave, that was imitation, is this here. Guided response, copy. Next is mechanism, basic proficiency. So you're able to do something with trial and error, but you are somehow able to pull through. Operate a machine smoothly. But if something happens which is out of the basic, then you are stuck. You don't know what to do now. Complex overt response is the next step, like dance choreography with fluidity. Now, from basic proficiency, after operating that machine for 6 months, now we have become an expert. But after, you need to put the machines, like you need to pull this knob, you need to put this switch, you need to pull this lever, and you can operate the machine. Next is adaptation. You can modify something as required in the situation, which was the last stage of the Dave's. Like you are able to modify or adapt depending on the situation. If something was broken down, then you can make do, jugaad laga sakte ho. That is adaptation. And origination is the last step, where you create something new. So these are the 7 levels of Simpson's psychomotor domain. So in case if a question is asked from this, you are not clueless. Clear so far? So these are things from Bloom's taxonomy. Okay. There are any other messages? No. Okay. So let's do previous year questions related to Bloom's taxonomy. Learning objectives means. So I had no other place to put this question, so I put it here because Bloom's taxonomy helps us create learning objectives. So what is the meaning of learning objectives? A, B, C, D. Right? Intended learning outcomes. Easy, but this question was asked a few years back, so they have stopped asking this kind of easy questions. The process of teaching is carried out with lesson plans where certain objectives or learning outcomes are set. I hope all of you know what learning objectives are, right? And I hope all of you have the experience of creating a lesson plan where if you have 60 minutes, then first 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, last 5 minutes, buffer time, and then you write down what's the objective of this lesson. What are the learner outcomes? Okay, so those learner outcomes are learning objectives. If you have not created any lesson plan till date, God forbid, please create one too, or at least learn how to create them, because without that understanding, you might, fumble in 1 or 2 questions. So you need to know what learning objectives are. Tomorrow we are going to do entire learning theory that would completely be useless if you don't know why we need to learn this, why learning outcomes are important. Okay. because initially I didn't know how to create learning outcomes. I used to get scared for at least, I think, 1.5 year. I was very, very scared when every time I had to make the lesson plan and put learner outcomes. So I used to take help of my seniors. Now I don't feel scared. The Bloom's taxonomy helps all those people who are scared about it. Okay. Attitude of the teacher that affects teaching pertains to attitude of the teacher is affective, cognitive, cognitive, or psychomotor. A, right? Affective. Just give me a moment. I did all the research, but okay. I don't think cognitive has got anything to do with our theories. It's just asked for confusion. Next, which of the following is the highest level of cognitive ability? Knowing, understanding, analyzing, evaluating. So out of the given options, which one is the highest? That is what you need to consider. Okay. D, evaluating, right? Because creating is not given as an option. So the next answer that we have is evaluating. Okay, and now that one question which I showed to you by mistake. Let's do that as well. Yep. So now here we have set 1 and set 2. Memory level, understanding level, analyzing level, creating level. These are 4 levels from Bloom's taxonomy. And you have 4 examples. Identifying examples of a given concept, generating new ideas, recalling information, and isolating information into parts. Now we need to match A with B. There are 4 matches given, like where option A is memory level A is 2, understanding level B is 1, that way. So you need to mix and match all the 4 levels with examples, and then you need to find out which option is correct. Here, if there is any one pairing that you are very sure of that this is the most correct answer, then check where that pairing is there and see if all other options are okay. This is to save time. If you feel that, suppose let's say A goes with 4, I don't know what the answer is, and just give an example. So where A is 4 here in C. So does B go with 3, C go with I, D go with 2? If you feel no, then you need to see it again. So this is how you can save time. Or like if I feel that A is 4 and C is 1, then this is good. Sometimes like see here, there are 2 options where C is 3, D is 4. So if I feel that C is 3, then I need to check out 2 options. That way. That's how you solve MCQs in less time. Okay. D is the answer. Let's take. Correct. So that's Bloom's taxonomy. Now, we have 3 minutes to go. If you have any questions, you can ask, or I would like to take at least Gagne and Briggs classification today. So then we will be able to cover all the intended topics tomorrow. Ma'am, second question. Which question, Meenakshi ji? Can you please explain the last question? Oh, yeah. I'll explain. Okay. So see, just a moment. Just give me a moment. Yes, Nilima ma'am, all recordings will be accessible to you till the day of exam. Okay. Like we'll even keep it for 2 days after exam. Okay. You will have recording for the entire session for any part that you've missed. Please don't worry about it. I can't share the PPT, but you will be getting the recording. Can you show slides of PPT? So it's like, it's 100 slides. How would I be able to show all of them again? As in when I'm teaching, please take screenshots of whichever slides you want. Meenakshi ma'am, I don't know which question you are talking about. You could just unmute and tell me which question. So I'm getting a bit confused.
Ma'am, previous year question, second one. Bloom's taxonomy. I don't know which one is. Actually, second question.
This question, attitude of the teacher.
Which of the following is the highest level of cognitive ability? Next one. Add this question.
This one. Yeah, okay.
This one.
So
This
see,
one. No, ma'am.
Yeah.
Previous one.
This
is
one?
the 1 minute. This one.
Okay, so we talked about affective domains, right? The 5 of subsets. So what is affective domain related to? Emotions. So what is the attitude of the teacher? Attitude talks about how the teacher is teaching the students. So that's about emotions. It is not about the content or the teaching methodology. It is about the way the teacher is teaching. Is the teacher teaching in a way, in logo ko to kuch nahi aata, these people do not know anything and I am the only smart person. Why am I teaching these losers? Is that the attitude of the teacher? Today I'm going to ensure that my students are going to get these concepts all clear and I'll do my best to make it simple and easy for them to understand. That could be the attitude of the teacher. I have to finish this somehow in 60 minutes. That could be the attitude of the teacher. So all of this falls in the affective domain. Cognitive, as you see, is related to brain. Psychomotor is related to skills. Cognitive has a very different meaning, which I checked in dictionary. Let's not fall into that. That has got no relation to our teaching methodologies or learning theories. That so far I have not seen any place the word cognitive is used. So let's not fall into that because explaining that would take 5 minutes. Okay. I hope that clears your question, ma'am. Is it the end of today's session? Liz, I would like to take Gagne and Briggs classification today if because the next class starts at 8:15. So if you guys are okay, I would like to take one small topic so that tomorrow, please explain Bloom's taxonomy question. Which question, Mahek? Tomorrow. Okay, guys, do you realize that if I have only 2 to 6 hours for teaching aptitude, which is and research aptitude are the 2 most important topics for your paper 1, then there are some things which I'll take in short and will not explain in detail because then I'll only have 4 hours. Okay, so if you are saying take it tomorrow, I'll take it tomorrow, but I'm not supposed to memorize or learn these concepts. So there will be some concept will have shortage of time, or probably we'll have little, we'll not be practicing few more previous year questions if you don't give me extra time. Because not everyone joins at 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock. People join at 6:05, 6:10, 6:30, according to their convenience, right? So if as teachers, you would also know आपका class भी जाता होगा 5-10 minute extra. Need time for next paper. 8:15 starts the next class if you have joined with us. And you can give me 10 minutes. Gagne and Briggs classification is a very important topic. There are at least 8 to 10 previous year questions asked using the application of the theory in that. Okay. Someone wanted me to explain Bloom's taxonomy question. I will just take that and then we can go to Gagne and Briggs classification. For those who want to leave the session, I'll revise Gagne and Briggs classification in 5 minutes tomorrow. You can leave the session if you want. Your choice. And anyways, you will have access to the recording. So Bloom's taxonomy question explanation. Yeah. Answer D. So Mehak, memory level A is 3, recalling information. So you have learned something, you are just recalling it. You are not analyzing it, you are not evaluating it. You are just recalling it as it is. That is why it is memory level. B is 1, understanding. You are identifying the examples of a given concept. Okay, so this is Bloom's taxonomy. These are the examples of learning outcomes. When you are able to identify that, it's because you have understood something. Analyzing it is isolating information into parts. So you are now, when you have understood the topic, you are able to analyze that these are the subtopics, and then you are able to separate that information into subtopics. That is analyzing. And last is creating. Generating new ideas, generating anything new is in creating level. So that's the explanation for this answer. For everyone who like Gagne and Briggs classification is a very, very important topic, and it has 3 classifications. So I want to take at least first small classification related to learning outcomes. I haven't seen any question which is asked from this, but just to be on a safer side, learning outcomes based on Gagne and Briggs classification fall under 5 types: intellectual skills, cognitive strategies. So intellectual skills are learning concepts, learning rules, problem solving. Cognitive is learning, remembering, thinking. Verbal information, it's like whatever information you have listened to, you have learned. Motor skills is your physical skills. So your brain, nervous system, and the muscles of the body work together. And attitudes, it refers to the internal state or emotion of an individual. Like my emotion is that I want to complete the session, and your emotion is you need to have 5 minutes break between the 2 sessions, right? So that is Gagne and Briggs classification for learning outcomes. But the most important classification is 8 levels of learning. I'm just taking it in short. Please go and read it tomorrow, and we'll discuss it in first 10 minutes. If you're not joining in first 10 minutes tomorrow, you will be at a loss. So either attend it right now or first 10 minutes tomorrow. Join sharp at 6. Gagne's 8 levels of learning is a hierarchical model of learning from simple to complex. Each level builds upon previous one, and again, it helps in lesson planning. Just like Bloom's taxonomy application questions are there, Gagne's 8 levels of learning application questions are there. That this activity falls in which level of learning, match A with B, that also happens. Or a level is mentioned and they say that which of the following activities can be considered as a part of this level. These kind of questions have been asked from Gagne's 8 levels of learning. Okay. Proposed by Robert Gagne. That's the name of the person. Let me see how many slides are there. Yeah, 10 slides, not more. Signal learning, basic classical conditioning. When the bell rings, students pack up their bags, stand up and go and leave. So that's just like the Skinner and Pavlov conditioning we learn. Stimulus response learning, also called SR learning, is a very favorite topic of examiners. Learning a specific response to a specific stimulus. A child presses a button when a light appears in a game. So the response is linked to a specific signal. So when you're playing that game, the subway runner or the road runner, whatever those kinds. So if you see a coin, you jump. If you see a cactus, you jump. So that is stimulus response learning. Okay. Chaining. Sequence of actions is chained. Motor chaining, learning dance steps in a particular order. Verbal chaining, reciting a poem or list in a sequence. Verbal association, learning meaningful connections between words. So a student learns that H2O is water. That is verbal association. You connect words with each other. So when I say Gagne's 8 levels of learning, you should remember SR. learning. Like stimulus response learning is the first thing that comes to my mind, because I've seen a lot of questions in previous year questions related to that. So every time I see Gagne's 8 levels of learning, my mind goes to SR learning, that way. Discrimination learning to distinguish between different stimuli, like plus and cross look the same but are different. One is addition, one is multiplication. When you say minus and when you say dash, they look the same, but their use is different. So learning to distinguish between that. Concept learning, recognizing features or attributes that define a concept. Like student understand that this is a triangle, that there are 3 sides and 3 angles. This is a square, this is a parallelogram, this is a rhombus, this is a trapezoid. So these concepts are learned by recognizing features of something. And the last one, rule learning, understanding relationships among concepts and applying them. Area is equal to length into breadth. Problem solving, applying multiple rules and concepts to solve unfamiliar problems. A student designs a science project using knowledge of circuits, measurements, and materials. So rule learning is when you are learning formulas to apply them and then solve problems from them. But then when you solve the problems, then it goes to the higher level, that is application of rules. So you probably design a science project using whatever you have learned. That now let me make form of water cycle or a hydro cycle or whatever other project the student is doing. Or if you know the formulas, now you have a question. And now you have to apply and solve the problem using the theorems that you have learned in maths. That is problem solving. So these are the 8 levels of learning. You need to know what is the meaning of that level and what is the example of that level. This is just like Bloom's taxonomy levels. That's why these 2 topics are together. Sigler learning, basic condition response, standing when bell rings. SR learning, associating a stimulus with response, like clicking when the light flashes. Just take a screenshot of this. It will help you revise all the 8 levels of learning. Okay. And a lot of times questions have been asked, application-based questions have been asked from this. Just like the Bloom's taxonomy match with P kind of thing. You will get details of the recordings when it will be uploaded. You will get the details in the WhatsApp group. I'll take this topic in the first 10 minutes tomorrow. So that will not be recorded tomorrow. It will be recorded today only. Tomorrow, I'll revise this topic in the first 10 minutes, Gagne's learning, and then we will start. So like in the time we wait for the people to join, we'll revise this. And the last topic for today, 9 events of instruction, part of Gagne and Briggs instructions. They have found that instructions or teaching is of 9 types. First, gain attention. Use unexpected events, interactive questions or multimedia. If I suddenly put a figure, you start looking at the screen. Otherwise, you are just listening. So gaining attention. Inform the learners of objectives. So when you say in start that this is what we see, this is what we plan to do at the end of this session, you will be able to answer questions related to all the important topics of paper 1, that is informing the learners of objectives, something that we have written in the brochures. Okay. Stimulate recall of prior learning. Whatever has been previously told, like when I say that these are the 8 levels of learning for Gagne in Gagne's classification, the type of questions are asked are similar to the one that we saw for Bloom's taxonomy. So I am asking you to recall something that you have learned 5 minutes prior. Use analogies, recall questions or examples to make connection. The next 3 levels are present the content. Oh, this is not like level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. It's just that I wrote 3 on one slide so that you can look at it nicely. The classification does not go that way. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Present the content. Present information logically, progressively using clear explanations, visuals or demonstrations. Provide learning guidance. Now that you have taught it, when you are giving them diagrams, or like when I'm giving you the table, that please take a screenshot of it, it will help you recall. So that's providing learning guidance. Elicit performance. So now I'm showing you a question and say, so tell me what one is the correct answer. That is elicit performance. Provide feedback, offer immediate and clear feedback, assess performance. Okay, so when the student does something and you are giving a feedback, then that is providing feedback. Assess performance is taking exams, oral, written, verbal, or when they are performing, you are giving them marks on different criteria of evaluation. That is assessing performance. And last is enhance retention and transfer. So using techniques like spaced repetition. Today I taught you something and then probably I'm revising it after a week. Not possible for our course, but in a classroom that is, right? Teachers teach something and then 2 weeks before exam, the revision starts. So that's spaced repetition and real world application. Applying it when they go for a visit somewhere or when they go for industry visits. That is enhanced retention and transfer. These are the 9 events of instruction. Because it is 9, it didn't come in one slide, so you will need to take 2 screenshots. This is 1 to 5. And this is 6 to 9. So if we talk about this 8 levels of learning, so a question based on that has been asked, that which one is the highest order of learning? Chain learning, problem solving, stimulus response learning, condition reflex. So based on this 8 levels, they ask you which one is the highest. Now in the given option, which one is at the higher level? Like problem solving, obviously. That's the answer. So those kind of, those kind of questions are asked. Then out of those 8, 5 are given here, and they ask you to arrange it in hierarchy. And then you have 4 options in which 5 different arrangements are given, and you need to select the answer. This is also a question that has been asked previously. Four. That's the answer. Okay, so the answer is 4. So this is the end of today's session. Thank you for being with me. Those who have your session 2 can move, and those who don't have can stay back for 5 minutes. That's actually the end of the session from my side. And I will surely revise Gagre and Briggs classification in the first 10 minutes, 6 to 6:10, till we wait for other participants to join. So please come at that time if you have missed something in that. Okay. For those who want me to repeat any slides for screenshots, this is the time. If you have any questions to ask related to the course, related to the topics that we have done, even if I don't have the answer, I'll find out the answer and tell you. This is the time to ask.
Ma'am, I just have one query. You just said the next session is at 8:15. So is it about paper 2? Because paper 2 crash course is going to start from 14th, right?
For the literature one is going on, English literature. So
Okay.
if you are from commerce or
Yeah.
other course, then that wouldn't start.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Thank you so
Next
much.
session. Yeah.
Session.
So for students of UGC NET Paper 2 English Literature, those who have enrolled in the course, their course is on right now. For others, the course would begin whenever it would begin.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fine. Thank you so much, ma'am. The session was really, really enriching today. Thank you.
Thank you. So
Ma'am,
if you want, yeah, please ask Mahek.
ma'am, is there a management subject also?
So I think we have it for commerce, and then one more subject which I've forgotten. So sorry. You'll probably, if you keep keep track of the brochures and advertisements coming in the group, you will know. Commerce, I distinctly remember because we had a discussion with the faculty about it. There's one more course for top two, but I don't think computer science paper 2. No. I'm sorry. I'll just tell you tomorrow. English literature is going on right now. Can you share the link? I think they have already completed 2 weeks, Priyanka ma'am. You will get the recordings, but you will not get live sessions for what you have already missed. If that's okay with you, then you can message Dr. Pradhimansi Raj and he'll provide you the link to register for paper 2. But I think it began 2 weeks back at least 1 week back. So if you are okay with recordings of the missed sessions, I don't think we have only 3. English literature is going on, computer is 1, and let me just ask. Just give me a moment. I'll ask the third topic so that you.
The psychology is the one.
Which one? If anyone of you has enrolled, you would be knowing. So please share with me.
When will you be sharing the whole lecture, what you have taught today?
Then you will get access to the recording. Okay, I'll just complete the recording.
Because I have missed the first few